wanted to do is to first start as the kind of our executive officer team, tell you a little bit about what our companies are doing. And we're really looking for 1 to 2 minute quick response. We'd love everybody to have the opportunity to just tell us some best practices or some major frustrations or challenges within your organization that may help others. We have some excellent general contractors on here. It'll be interesting to hear what others have to say, but as far as Wadman Corporation, one of the things that we've done pretty quickly was identify those in higher risk areas and invited some of the older white-haired guys like me to stay home. But it's been good, and some of our older carpenters and others, we've just kind of moved them away from any potential exposure, give them more distance, which I think has been good. The other quick thing is that meetings in job site trailers, it's one person in the trailer. We have safety meetings and they're outside and people are spaced 6 feet apart to talk a little bit about safety issues every day when they start with different subcontractors and suppliers on site. So Kimberly, could we go to you and you guys tell us a little bit about America First? It looks like, did she go?
I think Kimberly's having trouble with her video and her audio, so she may type in. Are you there, Kimberly?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yep, there you are.
Awesome. Well, I'll take just a few moments. I'm like Keith. Thank you, Tom, for that update. It's good to be with you all as best as we can be together. As first, we obviously have had a lot of changes. We have a lot of back office staff that can work from home. We have moved. I think yesterday, my senior management group, they reported we were close to 1,000 employees being moved to work from home, which was a huge undertaking for our IT department. Working in the financial industry, it's more than just taking our systems home. We have to be sure that we keep our security and members' financial well-being and privacy in order. So we've done that as well. And then we have closed down about 30% of our branches and shortened hours for others. So it's managing that balance of still being available to serve our members in the time of their need and protecting our employees at the same time. So I feel like the organization's done a fantastic job of finding that balance. We have, where possible in the branch staff, created A and B schedules. So half of the staff is there for 2 weeks and the other half goes home for 2 weeks to mitigate some of that risk. And then they swap. So the leadership and vice presidents in the branch network have had a lot to do the last 30 days. We are also trying to route our members where possible to digital and mobile banking. So communicating a lot via social media to engage with our membership, as well as communications on our website that are changing daily and updating as we all go through the changes. One last thing in my area, so I manage a group in business development. We are outside sales and we are social butterflies. It's been hard to feel like we're in captivity right now, but we've really adjusted. We've gone digital, so a lot of the employer groups that we send financial literacy to, we're making a lot of phone calls every day just to let them know we're here. We're not really focusing on sales. But I'll tell you what, the sales are coming because we're helping them through their own need as they're being furloughed or having financial struggles. We're providing customized links so their employees can still open up accounts and get direct deposit if needed. So lots of changes, lots of adapting. Local chamber. We just appreciate all the support.
Hey, thank you, Kimberly. Sarah, you raised your hand. So do you have a question or some input?
I just wanted to remind everyone of a couple of resources as we're looking to continue to try to support our small independently owned businesses. Obviously, the tourism sector has been hit pretty drastically by all of this. And so we have a website that's at dineogden.com for all the updates on who's offering curbside and or delivery service. So if you're able to continue to get out and support our independently owned restaurants so they can keep operating as long as possible, that's a great place to access their menus and ordering information. We've also created a site that it's on our website, visitogden.com, that highlights all of our arts and cultural activities that are offering some kind of virtual service. So whether it's a class, the First Friday Art Stroll, I know the Monarchy thing on here is doing a bunch of things this Friday. So go on there to see how you can support our arts community as well. And then in the next, hopefully today, if not today, tomorrow, the Ogden Downtown Alliance, we're supporting them and we'll be launching, I'm sure some of you have seen the Tip Your Server campaign that Salt Lake put together with Ty Burrell to support our frontline hospitality community. We will be launching a program here for the Ogden community as well, the Support Ogden Dining program, where we have an initial contribution that will start that off, and then there will be an opportunity for anyone who wants to donate to that as well to get to add to that, but we'll be providing some grants, I guess you can call them, some support to our frontline personnel that have been laid off because of the closures of restaurants and different things like that. So just wanted to let everybody know those resources were there. So as you have the opportunity to support them, you're able to. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Let's go to Mark Jenkins. If you're there, Mark, to tell us a little bit about what's happening at Peterson.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. So Peterson is pretty much running full steam ahead. We have several contracts with Department of Energy and Department of Defense where they have been very, very kind enough to make sure we know that we are essential, despite some of our employees that don't feel that way. Our absenteeism is fairly high right now, but we're trying to do everything possible to keep people safe. So wherever we can, including myself, which is killing me, we are working from home, especially when it hurts when I know I have employees there at the shop. But we've sent people out where we can, and those that stay at the shop, it's a big enough campus where we're really emphasizing, once again, I don't like to call it social distancing. We call it physical distancing because we still want to be social. But we're spread out where we've got some heightened sanitation and cleaning. We basically spray down the entire facility for any touch points at the end of every shift with some high strength sanitizer. We've altered shifts where we can. We've altered breaks and lunches so that there's no groups congregating, and just encouraging. We've opened all doors, so all doors are propped open so no one has to touch a doorknob. We've made access to our facility through open gates versus our traditional turnstiles when they badge in, and we have no one manning the front desk. We're not allowing any visitors that are not pre-scheduled. And if you go in our front desk, we have security requirements. So there's someone watching, but you have to make a phone call to get a hold of someone, and then we'll bring someone down. So, probably much like everybody else, not necessarily crossing our fingers, but crossing our fingers while at the same time doing everything possible to keep our employees and anybody that comes into our facility safe. But so far, pretty much standard operations, which, by the way, we feel very, very blessed and fortunate to be able to keep roughly 500 employees working. So we haven't had any layoffs or any furloughs or anything of that nature.
Great, thank you, Mark. I'm not sure if Mark Adams has joined us yet. He has a regular meeting starting earlier, so he may join us. Mark, are you here on the line? So he's not. So again, we'd open the up to each one of you. If you could take a minute or two, just tell us good news, challenging things, and what you're doing as a company. We want to learn from each other.
If you would just raise your hand, and then Tiffany will open up your mic.
Actually, Keith is the host right now.
Oh, there you go, Keith.
Yep. It'll tell me when someone's raised their hand. Okay. Tiffany, unmute. Okay.
Hello, everybody. Good to see everybody. I just thought I would just give my input for senior living right now. It is definitely a bit of a challenge when you have 130 very vulnerable people living under the roof. And so us, as well as most senior living communities, took a very early proactive approach. We started screening visitors, and then shortly after just shut down all social visits, and we are only open to medically essential visitation. All of our dining is being done in room in disposable containers. And the biggest challenge for us is, you know, we all talk about senior isolation, and now we are forcing it, which definitely is a difficult thing. But everybody is in really, really good spirits, and our staff are amazing. We are essential workers, and so we've actually distributed letters to all of our staff that are now traveling from Dayton County to work, so that they don't have any issues traveling to and from without restriction. And, you know, it's our residents, and I think I can say that of all senior living, they know the reasons that we're doing it. Memory does play a part into that when you ask them not to come out, but for the most part, they understand, and they're just super appreciative. And as much as our community has reached out, it's one of those funny things. People have a ton of time to give, and we can't have visitors in the building. And so just really, really good to have the community support on the outside, even though they can't be on the inside.
Right. Tiffany, thank you. I just ask everyone, as you ask a question, to give us your name and your company. I've now, Cameron Cooks raised his hand.
Yeah, Cameron Cook with Business Depot Ogden. Just wanted to give a little update for what we're seeing from the real estate side of the market. We've had a number of short-term tenants who have exercised some termination rights. We were working on a number of deals before the whole virus incident that surprisingly seemed to be moving forward a little slower, but companies are still interested in pursuing some new leases. And then we've seen a big increase on temporary space. We've had a number of tenants reach out looking for either additional space or new space in the market, trying to get more product to our market. Icon is one example. They had a number of items they wanted to move from California to get here to Ogden. So overall, we've stayed pretty steady at our overall occupancy. Some tenants closing, but been able to backfill a number of those spaces with short-term deals.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll go to Rich.
Hey, thanks, Keith. Rich and I, Ogden School District, and just want to take three actually. One, thank you everyone for your support of the Ogden School District as we've made the transition and completely redefined how educational services are delivered. With that, to point two, we're serving about 13,000 meals a day. And that is across all of our schools and the park in West Ogden off of 24th Street out there. Even during spring break, we have limited the number of sites, but we're in spring break right now, and we're still doing that. One of the challenges we have, it's very much grab and go. People can walk up, get it, but more is people stay in their car and we pass these things through the window. So one of our primary concerns is we're keeping our staff healthy as they are exposed, up to 13,000 meals across all of our sites. So we're taking measures there. Any suggestions would be helpful. Also, and lastly, the third point, as we've redefined educational services, a lot of it depends on technology, and this isn't lost on us, and I think anyone, but about 2/3 of our community, or 65%, have access to high-speed internet, leaving about 34% of our kids who don't. And we are trying to work with all the providers to get hotspots. As you can imagine, New York State bought up all the T-Mobile hotspots. We have 75. Trying to get Wi-Fi into the homes for kids has been a challenge for us. But we're making a lot of home calls, virtual classes, those types of things. But that only works if the child has access to Wi-Fi. We've issued devices, Chromebooks largely, to any and all that need them to take in their home. But again, that seems to be a hurdle for us. We've taken advantage and had our patrons take a look at Xfinity. I know they've done some promotional things, but some are having a challenge there. To help mitigate against the lack of connectivity, we've put together some educational packets for kids to work on at home. But we're still working through some of those issues. Look forward to get back from spring break, hopefully have a few more hotspots and continue these services. We don't look to run out of food. Some other districts across the state have. We have not. We're very fortunate in that way as well. But thank you all for your support. We'll keep plugging away at some of the hurdles that have come with providing education in the home.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Nye. We appreciate what you're doing. Other questions or input? I can see your picture, so if you don't raise your hand, there we go. All right, Mr. Holbrook.
Thank you. I appreciate this. I'm sorry, I'm a little not tech savvy on all of this yet. So I'm Beth Holbrook with the Utah Transit Authority, and I just wanted to give everyone an update. We are updating our website daily, the rideuta.com/health. But we are also having to make some service reductions as a result of the massive ridership declines we've experienced. And so we're going to be doing a change in our service effective April 5th. And all the information's on the website, so you can just go to the website. But it basically cuts most of the frequencies. So if it's anything under 30 minutes right now, it will go to 30 minutes. If it's over 30 minutes, it will go to 60 minutes. So Frontrunner service effective next Monday, for all intents and purposes, is going to be on 60-minute service, like a Saturday. And buses are going to be either at 30 minutes or at 60 minutes, depending upon what their frequency is. And Google Maps has all of our transit data that you can download, as well as we have apps and our website. So just wanted to give that information out to everyone. I can answer any questions you have too, so.
Thank you, appreciate that. Anyone else like to weigh in before I start inviting you personally? Troy, I know your name. Why don't you weigh something in here? You'll have to see, how do I do that one? Trying to unmute you. Let's see.
For some reason, Troy's microphone isn't working, so he might need to test his website or his microphone.
Okay, we'll go back with, let's see, who else has got their hand raised here? Okay, Chuck? Chuck, did you have something?
I just wanted to give you a brief update on what we've seen at the chamber as a whole.
Yeah.
If that's okay. We've had last week was an explosion at the chamber. We had an immense amount of dialogue, communication, information overload. This came pouring in. We had many businesses, manufacturers looking for employees. We had a lot of small businesses that were struggling, that were looking for connection to loans. And hopefully that what we've seen that kind of wave hit, and it's kind of dying down now. What we're in the process of doing right now is working with our government leaders, with the United States Chamber of Commerce, working with both the federal government leaders, our senators, as well as the governor's office, and really trying to connect businesses with the different options there are for financing. And there are many. They're both at the city level, we have them at the state level, and we have them at the federal level. And so depending on the situation that a business is in, they do have access. Everything from probably the most popular loans right now, they're called the PPP loans. It's payroll protection program. And that program is expected to come available tomorrow. So that will help up to about 2.5 months of your salary for businesses that have 500 or less employees, protect payroll for that period of time. I would highly recommend, if you're a business, to hop on that immediately. Work with, we've had many businesses reach out and ask where they should go to actually apply for that loan. And there are two different aspects to this. There's the lender, and then there's the borrower. The lender is typically a bank that you're currently working with. It could be any bank, really, but I would recommend that if you have a relationship with a bank, that is who you work with, and get those loans completed, in particular with the PPG. That is the most relevant, that will provide the most funding for a business, and it's available for use for your payroll, your rent, and utilities. And that is 100% forgivable if you use that loan for those activities. There's going to be a flood of information of businesses applying for that loan. You have to maintain your employees, and it's done on a full-time equivalent basis. And if you have part-time employees, it does cover part-time employees as well as full-time employees. The part-time employees are, you have to work that out based on your FTE. If you take their hours worked per week and divide that by total hours for part-time divided by 40, that'll give you your full-time equivalent. And so at that point, you can file for these loans through your financial institution. America First gave us their information. They're working with this, Kimberly. And we have almost all of our partners, Bank of Utah, Zions, Wells Fargo, almost all of our Key Bank has reached out. They've all reached out and provided a connection point here. And so I would encourage you to do that. So our businesses, small business is a major concern. They are providing as much as they can do, but we're seeing a lot of those businesses to shut their doors. And those that are staying open as long as possible. What we're hearing is Weber County is going to come out with another statement today that will follow what Davis County has done yesterday. This is not a shelter-in-place order. It's following what the governor has asked us to do, and that is what we've all been told. So there's no businesses that have been asked to shut down, with the exception of some that are high touch, like Tina. You would be impacted by that from a salon perspective, or a gym, some of those. But businesses are asked to use the COVID protocol, and doing that with spacing and things like that. So we've been in touch with the Weber County Health, the Weber Morgan Health Department. I've had direct communication with them and the director. They are not anticipating any shelter in place orders at this point in time, and they'll reevaluate it in a couple of weeks. We probably will see something come out today that will resemble what Davis County came out with yesterday, which we think is a very balanced approach to what's currently happening. We hope that that will give our businesses some relief as well, and also our employees. So there's funding opportunities. We're trying to connect with those. That's what we're doing now. Literally have turned into a loan advisor, I think, over the last week. But it's been a very, very dynamic and fluid situation that changes almost on a daily basis. We've had an immense
It's 9
also
o'clock.
information that's come out from our manufacturing community about how they are in business, how they're staying. We have a lot of essential businesses, including our manufacturers, that are feeding the world. And we thank you for the work that you're doing and continue to do to make that happen. So that's just a little update on what we're seeing globally across the chamber.
Good. Thank you, Chuck. I've got a hand raised here. Let's see.
Yep, that's me. It's Tony.
Okay.
Tony, you're from Chromalox Manufacturing in North Ogden. Manufacturing's pretty tough right now, trying to navigate all of the information overload that we have. Chromalox is an essential business for the Department of Defense. So all of our workers will remain working. We have considered doing temperature checks, working on that. We've staggered our shifts. We have a visitor checking guideline. We have quite a few of our engineers working remotely. And right now we're navigating the new Families First Coronavirus Response Act for our employees. And looking at response plans for potential exposure or positive COVID cases. We do have employees that have been in for testing, they've been negative, but there's been an uptick in a little bit of concern and panic among the employees. So working through a lot of accommodations, risk assessments, and just trying to stay ahead of the information overload that's out there. It's a lot tougher when you have 240 employees entering the building every day trying to keep everybody safe, but we're doing the best that we can.
Great. Well, thank you. Thane, we'll go to you.
Yes, so hopefully, I guess I am unmuted. So Chuck, the question I have, we've reached out to we have about 20 tenants, but most of them were in the hospitality restaurant. And a lot of them have 50 or less employees. So having HR departments is not something that they currently have. So navigating a lot of the HR side is something that, we've had discussions with. My background's not in HR, but I have people that we have access to answer those questions. Is there a way the chamber can kind of help some of these smaller businesses navigate these HR questions? Because it's, quite frankly, it's just foreign to them. Half our buildings are restaurants, and they don't have a full-time or even a HR department in general. So they have a lot of concerns around the application process, not just from a loan standpoint, but when they hear the word loan, and I know there's some forgiveness there, but they're also looking at, well, how is this going to work for us if they take this money and it goes 6 months and now they don't even have a business? So, and how do they how do they translate that to their employees? And so I don't know if there's a way to have some sort of access to HR, because these smaller 50 or less businesses just don't have those departments.
Yeah. We've got some awesome resources right now that have been put together for these businesses. And so, but it is an individual question about what their situation is and whatnot. And we're trying to get that information out as best as we can, because it is wildly different depending on the type of business that it is, and size of the business, what their unique situations are. We are getting a lot of those direct questions, but if you hear of those, please have them contact us, and we can do a couple of different things. One is get them directly connected with the resource that's available, whether it's a loan, whether it's an HR question. There's questions, everything from childcare to the loan questions about utilities. How do I pay for my mortgage? How do I, and from employers, how do I help these employees? And can I help connect them with other businesses who are seeking employees? And so we can help direct them in those. We also have amazing chamber members that are willing to help from an HR perspective. We just heard from Tony who is the director of HR at Chromalox. And we have great resources to draw upon to get the information that people need.
So Chuck, should they contact, how should?
Yeah, I guess that's what I would love to know is there a specific, because really what I'm doing is coaching people on some of this, and I just, you know, I'm their landlord and I'm giving them advice on HR, which is kind of unique. So if there was a way that we could get them to people that this is HR is what they do and are experts in the employee-based side of it. I mean, I would say a large majority of our businesses downtown have less than 50 employees and have no HR departments, zero. So I think that would be very, I mean, obviously understanding how the loans work, but also how do the loans work within their employees, and just all the things that are happening around employees, I think would be for those businesses less than 50 people.
So Darren, are you still on the line? Darren Rogers? Darren is,
yes.
Darren, maybe you could weigh in here a little bit and help Thane.
Excuse me. From a perspective on how the loans work, it would be better to direct them to their financial institution. In terms of dealing with their staff, connecting with unemployment insurance or other resources, we have virtual meetings twice a day. There are workshops that begin at 10 a.m. They begin at 2 p.m. And the individual would go on to jobs.utah.gov and register for those workshops. But those are designed for impacted or reduction in force, or business owners or managers to listen about resources available. I'm happy to feign to provide information to any of those impacted restaurant owners or managers. You can give them my contact information. I will type it in on the chat here in just a second, and I can help them as well. So I'm happy to do that.
So Thane, we have a workforce committee, and that committee is largely comprised of HR professionals. That's led by Darren. And this is really where they kick in to be able to provide information through that. We work closely with the Society of Human Resource Managers. And honestly, a lot of what you're talking about, where people don't have HR professionals, that's what we really have catered to, is helping those companies develop that and have those resources available. But Darren is an incredible point person to help direct those, especially with unemployment insurance, how to deal with those things, and connecting employees with the right places.
Thank you.
And Thane, just one other thing too, real quickly, is on the Chamber website, there is a resource guide, and that is extremely helpful, and it covers a variety of different aspects that these individuals may be going through. So I would definitely refer to that human resource guide. And if you need some navigational instructions, just reach out to me and I can help you walk you through it.
Okay, great, thank you. We'd like to go to Troy Bullard now, because I'd ask him a question and we've got it. Can you talk now, Troy?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm Troy Bullard. I'm with the Larry H. Miller Group. There's about 65 dealerships in the group, and depending on the state, some are completely closed, some are partially open. We're fortunate in Utah to be deemed as essential, so we're open in both sales and service. We've spent a lot of energy in trying to protect both employees and customers with distancing, as well as going to a shift A and a shift B. But things are actually going okay. We've been fairly busy. This will probably be something that will be with us for a lot longer of a period to recover. Most of the manufacturing plants are closed, so we'll have supply chain issues in the future. But for the time being, we're keeping our head above water.
Oh, good. Thank you. Kerry Wallen wanted to weigh in, but I don't see Kerry's number to unmute him. Can you hear us, Kerry? No. So let's Sean Myers, your industry has been impacted dramatically. Can you just give us a little input as some of the challenges that you're addressing?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Sean Myers with Myers Mortuary. It's been very interesting to work in a funeral home lately. We've begun doing virtual funeral arrangements, just mostly calling people on the phone, and then if we can, to set up funeral arrangements with people online. So that's probably the biggest change that we see, and fortunately it was easy to accomplish. We were somewhat prepared to do that, and you know, aside from that, we've our people are on that essential list as well, and so we've just taken the precautions and strived to follow the precautions that our state and our county has given to us. I just want to give a shout out to Weber County, Lance Peterson, the Emergency Service Director. He's been a great resource for us to help with things. So that in a nutshell is probably it, Keith.
Okay, well, great.
Thank you.
Mark Adams was able to join us. Appreciate it, Mark. We'd like to have you just give a little input from your company and the industry.
Yeah, there's a little bit going on.
Yeah.
We have seen a significant decline in what I'll call our scheduled elective volume. Both hospitals are down significantly, probably 40 to 50%. We're delaying and deferring all elective procedures so we can prepare for what we think is the inevitable surge that is coming our way. You know, we're limiting visitors, visitation, and all of those things. A lot of activity going on to prepare. If you look at most epidemiologist projections, the best information we can gather right now is April 23rd is being considered to be our peak time for COVID-19. There are 50 positive cases confirmed in Weber County. We have not yet seen a surge in the hospital. I think both hospitals right now, between us, we have 4 positive COVID patients in hospitals and quite a few more that we call persons under investigation. And so we're preparing for what we believe will be the next 3 weeks is when we're anticipating the hospital surge. Utah is not considered to be a hot spot like other parts in the country, especially Weber County. But just to kind of bring at least one bit of sobering information, the experts right now are projecting potentially 500 deaths in the state of Utah if the surge follows the typical pattern and projections. So I think we've only had 7 to 9 deaths so far in the state. And so we're just getting ready for that. It's most providers, their volumes are down, and we're just putting together what we call our emergency preparedness surge plans to be ready, what we believe will be in the next 2 to 3 weeks, a big surge.
Well, thank you, Mark, and we salute you and all involved with the medical industry. We know that's a challenge on everyone, so thank you to you and your people. I'd like to go Rick Fairbanks.
Hey, Keith.
Yes.
It's Carrie.
Okay, there we go.
Can you hear me?
I can. Everybody else hear him?
So a quick update on the lending side from what Chuck was saying is Golden West is also an SBA lender. We haven't probably provided that information to you, Chuck. Sorry for not doing that yet. We are being overwhelmed with applicants for the PPP loan. We have about, as of last night, we had about 140 applicants. And so my recommendation to you would be, to small business, would be to get with your financial institution that you do your current business with, and the stronger your relationship is, the better you're going to be. They probably will get prioritized as those loans are going through the pipeline. We are still getting updated information from SBA daily in how that works, but we basically have all the information now that people and businesses can apply. And so our goal is to actually to start issuing those loans by tomorrow. On a other note on business, if you have your business relationship with us, our members, we are deferring payments on mortgage, commercial real estate loans. We're also on consumer side, deferring skip a pay on consumer loans and of course all other mortgage loans. From the standpoint of Golden West, all of our branches are open with drive-in window. They're closed to member traffic unless members make an appointment to come in to protect the members and our employees. Does anybody have any questions on the PPP loans?
If they do, we'll ask them to do it in the chat so they can see there.
Okay.
People are muted. We can't have it kind of that way. So we'd encourage them to ask questions, and then you look at the chat as a possibility. But Carrie, we appreciate you weighing in this morning.
Carrie, just a clarification point on your mortgage deferment. Do you build that into the back end of the loan, or do they have to pay twice the mortgage on a month coming up?
Normally, our examiners don't let us to capitalize it and build it into the back of the mortgage, but we are doing that. And we're going to just have to ask for forgiveness later from the examiners and hopefully don't get in too much trouble, but we think that's the thing to do. So we are reaching out to our members. Some it is in the best case to recapitalize and manage it that way. Others are just a simple skip. So it kind of depends on the situation. You can go, if you go to our website, all of that information is on the front page of our website, and it's really easy for our members to apply on both personal as well as commercial loans.
Okay, thanks, Carrie. I'd like to go to Steve Kier. Steve, anything you can add real quick? We don't have a lot of time, but we want to buzz through some other input here.
That Wadman are doing. Our office staff has gone on a split shift basis, morning and afternoons. We feel very fortunate that all of our construction sites are still fully operational. We did carry out a small reduction in force earlier this week. We've had several projects either be postponed or canceled this spring because of COVID-19. We have a very strict social distancing protocol on all of our job sites. We have had a couple of subcontractors serve notice of force majeure under the terms of their contract because of COVID-19. We're having to deal with that on 2 of our sites, critical path subcontractors. Other than that, we're doing our best to get through this. We are rebudgeting our year. We're projecting about a 20% reduction in revenues due to the cancellation of some projects and postponement of projects, and anticipating interrupted schedules. Other than that, we're doing great.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve. Slade, would you like to weigh in since we're kind of talking about construction real quick here?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what you and Steve have both described by way of projects. We're fortunate to be essential, but being essential isn't easy. we've revised nearly every one of our safety guidelines for our job sites. On our large projects, we're now initiating one porta potty per subcontractor and assigning them to each respective sub, just to try to make them responsible to even quit stealing their own toilet paper and their own hand sanitizer. It's insane.
Wow.
The psychological side for our job sites is probably what we're trying to manage the most right now. Everything else is about the same, what you're saying, but the guys, dealing with who's going to show up tomorrow, dealing with spouses who may be home watching kids, just all the unanticipated psychological effect. Where the safety precautions are a change and are different, but I think they're actually going to make us better in the long run and improve efficiency that we otherwise would not have done on the way we onboard safety orientations and things. We purchased 50 gallons of hand sanitizer from somewhere up in Cody, Wyoming, and then had a guy drive up and get it out to our job site. So if anybody is needing that, we found the source somehow and just ordered another 40 gallons to try to get out again to our job sites, because OSHA in Utah so far is pretty easy. Our Nevada projects are much tougher. They are doing weekly inspections, and if you're not in strict compliance, you are shut down. Our concern then is if you get shut down because you're out of compliance with COVID-19 new OSHA requirements, you're now shut down for not being in compliance with your contract. You're not shut down for a force majeure clause. So Nevada right now is my biggest challenge, but it is coming this way. We have a national peer group I'm fortunate to be a part of and talk to, and again, Utah is very fortunate with what we have right now, but very concerned with hopefully what doesn't come this way, but what may be by terms of project shutdowns and just everything they're forecasting. So we're preparing for that, and Steve and Keith, happy to share any and all with you guys or any other contractors that may be on the phone. Our general counsel's in-house. He's been working with Jacobson's in-house attorney and a couple others there's no sense all of us paying $350 an hour or more to write the same policy we're all going to end up with. So if you have questions, probably drop me an email. Happy to help. So.
Oh, great. Appreciate that. Rick Fairbanks, I kind of called on you to see if maybe you would have some just general input. We respect I'm not getting you. There we go.
There we go. We got the sun here, but I'm dealing with it. Rick Fairbanks, Fairbanks Inc. We manage a purchasing cooperative for underground piping systems, a national group for sewer, water, and drainage, fire hydrants and stuff, roads, water plants, all that sort of thing. So our perspective is more of a national one, and I don't know if it's all that helpful, except that we're deemed an essential industry or service. And so our members across the country are still really busy with projects. If the Congress passes the big infrastructure bill that they're talking about, it's hard to imagine all these trillions of dollars. I mean, it's inconceivable in my mind. But if they do add that on, that will be a really big boost to our industry overall, and even our other our building contractors, et cetera. But overall, we still remain busy. Money's going to be getting real tight, so the private sector is going to slow way down. But we expect the public sector to continue to be relatively healthy, even though probably money is going to slow down and won't come through quite as fast. So for whatever that's worth.
Well, good. Thank you very much. Tina, could I ask you to just give a little feedback as far as where you are?
Am I unmuted?
Yep, you're unmuted.
Okay, good. Well, it's just getting to that point where in order for us, the one practice that we can't do is 6 feet. So we have spent a lot of our time just reaching out to those, especially those that we know that are single or living alone, and just doing what we can to emotionally support our community. So And then just doing what we can, most likely with shutting down this week, we'll just be spending a lot of our efforts focusing on how I can support the Small Business Council and help the chamber support from how I can, from where I can. So.
Well, thank you and appreciate this. We know this is a hard hit situation for you and tender human connections that people will miss not being there. But we feel in time we'll all understand a little bit better here. So anybody else like to weigh in real quick? Mark, I was going to ask you, is from your kind of architectural.
Yeah, I think for us, we're relatively small and we've had some projects that are in the pipeline. So we're really pretty good right this minute. There's, I think that as we go forward, some of the things that Slade and Steve and you have discussed, whether or not some of these other these projects materialize, I think is going to be the big question. But, currently we're plugging along and actually have a few projects that have come to life, surprisingly, in the last week or two. So right now we're small, but we're doing fairly well. We're working at home, and blessed right this sec.
Okay, well, good, thank you. Curtis, from your bank's perspective, anything you'd like to go and let me see, there we go.
Am I unmuted?
Oh, you're unmuted.
Okay, well, this will probably put a little bit of a damper on our construction project here in Weber County, but we're still planning to go ahead with that. We've talked about it and we still feel kind of excited and anxious and ready to move forward with that. As far as Cache Valley Bank goes, we do also have all of our branches open for drive-up service. We are meeting with clients in branch by appointment only. As everybody else has stated, we are also a preferred SBA lender, so we're dealing with all the questions and concerns that clients have with regard to that, but happy to help and take any questions that anybody has with regard to any of those. Feel free to reach out to me.
Okay, thank you. Our time is basically done. I'd go back to Chuck if there's any wrap up that you would like to make at this time.
No, I'd like to just thank everyone. Curtis, thank you so much for being part of the chamber now and Cache Valley Bank and joining us. And that really relieves my mind that you're going to continue our little project across the street.
I'm excited for it as well.
That's awesome. I think there was one person that we didn't hear from, and that's Kendall at Standard Examiner. Kendall, are you still on the line? I'm really interested to hear what the perspective is. What's the vibe going on that you're hearing from a media perspective?
Yeah, being new to the group, I wanted to sit back and just learn from you guys today. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of the group and to be on. We are mostly business as usual here at the newspaper, and most of our reporters are working remotely from home. Our editor is also working remotely from home. Our publisher and general manager are here in-house working with our circulation department and our advertising department. Our sales team, most of us are working remotely and mostly by email and phone with our clients. And we're just trying to be here for our clients, to be kind of a helping hand, especially with the hospitals and clinics and the members in our community, trying to make sure everyone knows that they are open and adapting to the government regulations that, have been set forth for them, and getting the education out to the public about the healthcare provisions and the ways we need to adapt our lives as well.
Great, thanks, Parker. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Appreciate you weighing in. And Chad, how about you? Got any input you'd like to share? Oops. Or I can't unmute you. Sorry, hang on. There we go. There we go.
I think we figured it out. Well, I appreciate everybody for letting me come on and enjoy ourselves a little bit. Just like everybody else in the financial sector, we've been really busy with the PPP program. So if there's any questions on that, please holler. I know in the chat I kind of dropped Zion's Bank's our website where everybody can apply for that, as well as some other information. But any other help that we can provide, we're here ready to help. We do have a lot of drive-throughs open, like everybody else mentioned, but all of us have our phones directed to our cell phones and working from home the best that we can to make tomorrow's launch of this thing successful. So any questions in any way that we can be helpful, we're excited, and let us know.
Great. I would just say, maybe Chuck, before I have you say some final things, as a community, it's we're all experiencing these things, and it's tough. But it's also wonderful and tender to see how people willing to help and reaching out as individuals and families and as companies to be able to reinforce. And I would just say that the good news is we're all human beings. We need connection. We need to, in tough times as well as good times, we've got to be able to virtually put your arms around each other and say, let's look forward versus looking back. So thank you. And Chuck, anything else? We'll have you wrap it up.
Thank you to you, Keith, and thanks to our Board of Governors, each one of you. You really are the leadership of this community, and we hope that this board, this type of format is beneficial to you so that you can see and hear what else is going on around our community, and you've taken away some good information to help in your business. So thank each and every one of you for your support of the Chamber and our business community. You're awesome. I love each and every one of you.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. This ends our meeting.